Well, hello there. Hello. I am Pops, and we are going to have some comic book talk. Indeed, I am very excited to at least be enjoying something. And I want to kind of give you some thoughts on Batman 28. I've done a review here recently. I had a great conversation with Gray over at Wakazashi's Tea House. He recommended trying to give Batman a chance, starting with issue 125. Chip Zdarsky has come over, taken over Batman. Jorge Jimenez is doing the art, and he gave it a little thumbs up, said I should give it a check. It is ages 13 and up, which I did not notice right away, but not quite sure how I feel about that part of it. It says it's the main Batman title. However, it is an interesting story, and I want to give you some positives and negatives about it now that we're on issue 128. So we're in part 4 of the zur-en-arrh storyline. So basically the essence of the story here is way back in the day. I'm going to say 2006. It's Grant Morrison, right? JLA. Famous story. Batman basically has a contingency plan on all of the JLA that's hijacked and comes to light. Then they feel like half the people can't trust Batman, half the people they can't. Therefore, the story kind of picks up and has a time jump of Superman being the deciding vote on what to do with Batman. And it's like, well, okay, now fast forward to now, and what if there's a contingency plan for if Batman's out of control? He literally creates a contingency plan for himself. He's called Failsafe, and basically Batman has to kind of resort to whatever it takes to try to survive. And that's where you have this sort of zur-en-arrh storyline that's kind of interwoven in there, where, he's basically like the more volatile, violent version of Batman. Right? So the story kind of gives us exactly what we want in some ways. So this is our first panel. We basically get a great shot of Supes. And like I said, the art, first off, the art is not any of the issue with some of this. I really have people who really have been very critical of the book in a lot of ways. I assume because there's not a lot of action per se, but this is how it started. And I have to be honest, I really did enjoy this. The classic look that Jimenez pulls off here, I think is fantastic. And it kind of moves to where Superman's going to, basically confront Failsafe to save Bruce. That's Bruce on the ground, and he's barely alive. So Superman, of course, notices that he immediately pulls out, these Krypton daggers, and Superman just kind of flies away. Now, I don't know. And it's like basically you see Bruce going, he knows exactly what's going to happen, and there's nothing that can be done because basically Clark, he put himself in this situation, this predicament. You have Greta Girl coming in, trying to give them some cover and some attack. And Martian Manhunter, he's also attacking. Here is Hawkwoman and a Hawk Girl and Black Canary. So you have this full-on Justice League attack. But Batman gets stabbed with those kryptonite daggers, and you have this shot where, so here you have what's left of Bruce, and he has to figure out how to pull out this kryptonite dagger and try to give some sort of chance for Superman to live. While basically this version of Batman, this zur-en-arrh version of what kind of led to being Failsafe, and now Failsafe is just out of control. He knows exactly what to do to bring everyone down. That's what he's programmed to do. So this zur-en-arrh created Failsafe as a way of keeping Bruce in check, and Bruce, and it knows how to deal with all of the JLA. So it's a great sequel to that story. The biggest complaint, which I think would be valid, is this is not a lot of action. This is already page 10 or 11, and the battle's pretty much over before it moves again to the streets. And you have this shot where you have Nightwing in the next phase here. And you realize, it is also a trap, Failsafe, and this sort of kind of stuff comes into play. But where it gets good, and again, I have mixed feelings about it, but I can tell you here, the imagery of what Jorge is working with here is fantastic. Like he's basically saying, Tim, and this is this version of Tim, which, by the way, I don't quite understand how we're handling this in the DC universe, but I am more than happy to play along with a Robin that I can relate to, that I think is fantastic, and in the main Batman book. So I think it's just great. I think the imagery is great. I love the different color palette for the zur-en-arrh. I think it just really does work, and I'm very happy with that thing. But sadly, they do what they can do to say, all right, you got to go and take care of Clark. He jumps overboard and wakes up because he's rescued by Aquaman, right? And the problem is now it's been a while. All of the action and what's happened has been off the book, off page. And it is not been good for Gotham. Gotham's basically under this control of Failsafe with no real hope in anytime soon. And I have no idea why it's buffering like that. And it's so frustrating. So I'll stop the screen while it sorts itself. Let me just jump to a different page and see if it makes any sense. So that's kind of how it ends. It ends with him waking up and realizing Gotham is basically under Failsafe's control and all this. Now, again, the biggest complaint is valid. All that happened off, in another book or off screen or whatever. But I will say this: I'm not going to rule out that they can't save that. It's like, it's not always fair to throw the baby out with the bathwater with a story that's not done yet. We're on part 4. It's not as though this was action free. This was like 20 something pages of quite a bit of stuff happening. It's just that it moves fast because there's also a lot of characters. So you really want a lot more to it. So I want to believe that this is the first phase of things getting bad. I even won't be surprised if it gets a little bit worse before it gets better, kind of thing. Like, that would be totally fine with me as well. Now, this is an area that I do not like in the Batman book, and maybe this is something that I guess they do now. And this is, I don't know. I don't know exactly why they do this, other than it's got to be just kind of some time constraints and that kind of thing to have, Chip Zdarsky writing the stories and then trying to basically have different artists do it to make the deadlines, right? So we end up with a backstory. So the backstory is tying in the old comic books with the new. So it's basically like zur-en-arrh year 1, and you have sort of this tie-in of, the Batman story and how this is going to go. And I don't know. It's fine. They tie the Joker into it. You have some great panels, and it is a great story. I just don't care for the idea of the story being interrupted so that we can have a second story here. Like, why do we not have either things being flushed out over a longer period of time, or in a different title or something? There's just got to be a way to do this better. I'm a little disappointed that it kind of have this little sidebar story in the main Batman titles. So if you're looking for something that's very concise and tight, then maybe it's not for you. But if you want to get back to sort of like a root of a superhero story, see the Justice League, see them drawn right, see them behaving right, all the characters are done right. I have no objections to any of that. I think it's fine in the story, and I'm on board to read the next issue. So that's kind of my take on it. It's pretty rare. I think it's only fair to try to let them know when they're on the right track with something that is good from the modern comics. And I'm trying to be more diligent, but also trying to, diversify the reading stuff that I'm getting into to give you that perspective. So that's kind of my take on it. You guys can tell me what you think. Ask questions if you want, clarifications, those kinds of things. So that's kind of where I'm at on Batman 128.